In this video, we're talking about proportional relationships and unit rate. More specifically, we're going to be talking about the Porsche 911 and its city gas mileage. I don't know if you realize this, but when you look up information about a car, usually they'll list the highway gas mileage and the city gas mileage. City gas mileage is worse than highway gas mileage. One reason is because, in the city, there are lights and you're stopping and starting and not maintaining a constant speed. Whereas on the highway, you're maintaining more of a constant speed, and usually you get your best gas mileage. I think it's around like 55 to 65 miles per hour. So today we're going to be looking at the average city gas mileage for a Porsche 911. So when you look at this, I want you to notice that we're given one piece of information up here. We are given the ratio. And then we're going to need to fill in all the other information. I want you to pay close attention because when you finish watching this video, you're going to be asked to do the exact same thing I'm doing. Take a ratio like this and fill in the rest of the information. So let me show you what we're going to do first. So first, I'm going to read that the ratio of miles to gallons is 30:2, and this is the city gas mileage. And I want you to write the ratio two other ways to show that you know all the ways to record a ratio. So 30:2 and then 30 fraction bar 2. And then I'm going to teach you something new. I'm going to teach you the unit rate formula. Now, K, we talked about earlier, is the variable used to represent unit rate. It's also used to represent the constant of proportionality because the constant of proportionality and unit rate are the same thing. Now, I've taught you so far that when you're trying to find unit rate, you divide. So it only makes sense that the formula would include division. Look at this formula. The only operation there is in this formula is division. So this is the unit rate formula. So that means that the first number is y, the second number is x. The first number is y, the second number is x. I'll label it over here too, y and x. So I fill in my formula 30 for y, 2 for x, and I get a unit rate of 15. Once I know the unit rate, we can come down here to the proportional equation. A proportional equation looks like this. Y equals kx. It's nice and simple. Now that we know the unit rate, we can replace k with the unit rate. So y equals 15x. This represents our proportional relationship in equation form. Y equals 15x. And we're going to use this equation to fill in the table. Remember that x is always the left column and y is always the right column. Just something you need to memorize because on the EOG, sometimes they'll just write gallons and miles. They won't tell you that this is x and this is y. You'll need to know how to label that yourself. So we've done this before where we write the equation, we replace the variable x with parentheses, and then we plug in a number for x. Well, I don't see any x's already given to us. Sometimes they already give us the x's, and we just plug in what they give us. But in this case, they don't give that to us. That's not a problem, because you can plug in anything for x, get out a y, and it will follow that pattern that makes a straight line. But if I chose, I don't know, 1,000,000 for x, million times 15 is 15 million, I don't want to graph the number 15 million. So I'm going to choose x values that are simple, like 0. So I'm going to start by choosing 0 for x, and then I'm going to solve for y. 15 times 0 is 0. So y is equal to 0 when x is equal to 0. Next, I'll choose another simple number, the number 1. 15 times 1, we replaced x with 1, is 15. So the y value is 15, so instead of y over here, I'll put 15 in this table. Now I'm going to choose 2. Let's just keep moving up. 15 times 2 equals 30. So when x is 2, y is 30. Alright, I'm going to choose 3 next. 15 times 3 is 45. Alright, let's use 4 now. 15 times 4 is 60. And I think you're starting to see that I'm just going to go up by 1 for the x's, make it simple. And we could also fill this table out a different way. Remember the other day I talked about the fact that we're taking x, and really the pattern is we're multiplying by the unit rate. So 1 times 15 is 15. 2 times 15 is 30. 0 times 15 is 0. So I could come down here and just take 5 and multiply by 15 and get 75. You could also see that if we're going up by 1s, this will only work if we're going up by 1s. Over here you can see that we're going up by 15 for every 1 we increase by an x. So you could also just start adding 15. So 75 plus 15 gets us to 90. And then 90 plus 15 gets you to 105. And then add 15 again, we get to 120. So that's another way to fill out the table. From here, we're going to create our graph. So I'm going to start by labeling x, and then I'll label y. And then from here, what I could do is I could label my x-axis with 0 through 8. You know, this would be 0, then I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But you'll see I really only used half of the x-axis, and I kind of like to spread these numbers out a little bit more. So if I've not even used half, then I could make every 2 squares equal to 1. So that's what I'm going to do so that I can spread out the numbers a little bit. So every 2 squares is equal to 1, which means that every 1 square is equal to 0.5. So this would be 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. This one would be 4. This would be 5, 6, 7, and then finally I only have to go up to 8. Because you'll see over here I only went up to 8 when you're looking at that table. So now we're looking at the y-axis. The y-axis is a little bit trickier because we have to go up all the way to 120. So I'm just going to use a trick here. Since we just went up by 15s every time, each number that we need to graph is a multiple of 15. So it would be safe to just mark each square as 15. Once again, if I mark each square as 15, it's going to be pretty scrunched. So I'm going to make every 2 equal to 15. Every 2 squares equal to 15. So 15 plus 15 gives me 30, plus another 15, I'm at 45. And since I'm going up by multiples of 15, these numbers will be exactly the same as these numbers over here. So this next label would be 60, plus another 15, we're at 75, plus another 15, we're at 90, plus another 15, we're at 105, plus another 15, we're at 120. Let me make sure I have all my values. Oh no, did I skip one? Maybe not, let me check. 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, 120. Okay, I just thought that I skipped something. All right, we're good. We're good. It's always good to check over your work. All right, so now we can go ahead and graph each point. So I'm going to grab a different color for that. Let's see if I can grab a different color. So then you can see better what I'm circling. So I'm going to start by graphing 0, 0, which is at the origin. Then I'm going to graph 115. Remember, this is just the same as a coordinate listed like this, 115, x, and then y. So the x is 1 and the y is 15. It's just written in a table instead of written as a coordinate. But these are all coordinates. So I graph 1, 15. Then 2, 30. So I go over 1, 2, and then up 30. All right, 345. So I go over 1, 2, 3, and then I go upwards 45. All right, 460. So I count over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I go upwards up to 60. You always move along the x-axis first and then along the y-axis. So horizontal movement first and then vertical movement. 575, 690, 7105, and then finally 8,120. 8,120. And I want you to notice that when you graph a proportional relationship, you're going to get a straight line, and I can try to draw this in. It's not going to be very straight because I'm just freehand drawing this. You're going to get a straight line that goes through 0, 0, and that's going to actually go on forever. All right, so we've filled in all the information. Just in review, when you're doing this on your own, you're going to start by recording the 3 different ways to write a unit rate. Then you're going to find the value of k. Then you're going to plug that value into the equation to record the proportional equation, y equals 15x in this example. Then you're going to fill in the table. You can do this work for part of your work. You can use the model where you take x and multiply it by the unit rate. But figure out all of your data points. Then you need to fill out your labels and graph it. And the only thing I'm noticing that I forgot is I forgot to label the x-axis is gallons. So I should have put gallons down here. And the y-axis, the y variable is miles, represents miles. So I should have written miles over here. And you can even put, a title up here. So this would be gas mileage. Oops. Gas mileage. And you could be more specific, but it's taking me a long time to write this, so I'm just going to leave this gas mileage. And we're finished with this problem.